meet you, of course, yes. Okay, so thank you everybody. I'm not waiting for any boss to tell me anything. I don't work with that type of principle. It is 2:30 on my watch. So in terms of the section 2 that we're looking at, which is the general science and technology education issues, there are 3 presentations, and may I say that each presentation will be about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. We were just told that just now, not yesterday, just now. And the reason for that is that we have to end off at 11, so at actually 10 to 12. 10 to, what is that? 10 to 12. 10 to 12. 11H50, 10 to 12. Because we have to
10
rush.
To 11. 10 to 11.
10 to 12.
10 to 12.
10 to 11.
To 11.
At 11 we have workshops with Sodi.
Oh, okay, yes, okay. Michka. 10 to 11, okay, sorry.
Angela lost control.
No.
No, we were given the wrong thing already.
Okay,
Then
10:50.
control was out.
10:50.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Metka, we were wrong.
We were wrong.
Thank you. Thanks,
As
Metka.
always.
Okay, so we have to finish off 10 minutes earlier. And in this session there are 3 presentations. It's Maja, it's Elena and Jelena, and then it is Slindokuhle, and Slindo and I will be sharing. So I want to say thank you so much, Maja. Would you like to come forward? And you are presenting on metacognitive strategies for reading scientific and sustainability related content in digital and print media. And look how nicely this links up with Muyama's presentation. Is that how you say his name? Yeah. Please go ahead. Thank you so much. 20 minutes.
Yes, I think I will be faster. Hello everybody, I'm Maja Kerneža. I come from the University of Maribor, Slovenia. It's a great pleasure to be here at the BalticSTE conference and to present a study that sits at the intersection of several timely changes, challenges, digital transformation in education, the need for scientific and sustainability literacy, and the role of metacognitive strategies in reading comprehension. The title of my presentation is Metacognitive Strategies for Reading Scientific and Sustainability Related Content in Digital and Print Media. I will walk you through why this topic matters, how the study was conducted, and what it reveals about how university students think when they read, and what that means for teaching in the digital age. But first, let me ask you a question. Do you read?
Yes. Yes.
This question might seem almost rhetorical, because of course we all read, but in the age of smartphones, notifications, endless content, it's worth asking again, are we really reading, or are we just scanning, skimming and scrolling? And let's take one step further. How often do you read? Not only emails or headlines, but texts that require deeper engagement. For example, scientific texts, opinion pieces, research articles, reports on climate change. In today's world, we all read all the time, but the quality, purpose and content of reading have changed dramatically. In fact, chances are you are reading more than ever before, but the way you read has probably shifted from print to digital, from linear to non-linear, and from immersive to multitasking. And that shift raises an important question. Does the medium shape how we understand complex topics like sustainability or science? And are we using the right strategies to make sense of what we read? So yes, the chances are you are reading more than ever before, But let's now consider a different question. Where do we read? For many of us, reading no longer means sitting down with a book, but it might happen on the phone between different tasks, on a laptop during class, or occasionally maybe still on paper. The reading medium has changed, and that shift isn't neutral. It influences how we read, how deeply we think, and how we process complex content, especially when that content deals with science, data, or sustainability challenges. And this is exactly what our research explores. How does the medium, print or digital, affect the way students use metacognitive strategies when reading demanding texts? Reading is changing, and so is learning. We have moved from traditional print to digital screens and to hybrid environments where both formats constantly overlap. But while the formats are evolving, our reading strategies haven't necessarily kept pace. Many students still approach a digital text the same way they approach printed one, or vice versa, often without consciously adjusting their strategy. And that's where metacognitive awareness becomes crucial. Because students need to adapt not just what they read, but how they read, based on the format, the purpose, and the complexity of the text. So, what do we mean with metacognitive strategies? Simply put, metacognition means thinking about your own thinking. It's not just reading the words, it's being aware of your purpose, realizing when you're confused, and knowing how to adjust your approach. Metacognition includes two essential elements: awareness of how you're engaging with the text, and regulation, the ability to change your reading strategy when needed. And some of the most common metacognitive reading strategies include predicting what might come next, highlighting important ideas, asking questions about the content, rereading when something is unclear, reflecting on what you've learned, taking notes to organize your thoughts. And these strategies are especially important when reading digital texts, which are often fragmented, non-linear, and full of distractions. But research shows that many students don't use these strategies consistently or consciously. And this inconsistency may affect their ability to understand complex, science-based content, especially when the topic requires not just memorization, but critical thinking and evaluation. And then that brings us to the next part of this presentation. How did we design a study to explore this? Our research focused on two central questions. The first was, which strategies do students use when reading science and sustainability related texts? Because these types of texts are often complex, data-rich, and conceptually demanding, requiring far more than just a surface-level reading. And the second question was, does the reading medium change how they use strategies and how well they understand the content? And this second question is crucial, because while we often assume that students are digital natives, we know surprisingly little about how digital versus print reading actually influences strategic thinking and comprehension depth, especially with science-based texts. And our goal was to explore not only what students do while reading, but also how effectively they understand, analyze, and evaluate what they read, depending on the medium. And let me now walk you through how the study was designed. We continued this study with 73 service teachers, all studying to become primary school educators. Why this group? Because they are not only the future teachers, but they are also active learners who regularly engage with both print and digital materials. And to explore the role of reading medium, we divided them into groups. One group read the text in digital format using their own devices, and the other read the same article in printed format. The article they read dealt with a real-world science sustainability topic involving data, causal reasoning, and scientific explanation, similar to what we increasingly see in a new media or educational context. This setup allowed us to compare both their use of metacognitive strategies and their reading comprehension based on whether they read digitally or on paper. No, not yet. After reading the article, students completed two instruments. First, they filled out the Metacognitive Reading Strategies questionnaire, and this allowed us to measure how frequently they use specific strategies, such as predicting, rereading, highlighting, and reflecting, using a five-point scale. Second, we administered a reading comprehension test based on the Bloom's revised taxonomy. This text included 6 open-ended questions, each aligned with one cognitive level, from remembering and understanding all the way to applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. And this goal was not just to check whether students could recall facts, but to see how deeply they understood the content and whether they could transfer and evaluate what they had read. With this setup, we could compare both strategy use and comprehension depth across the two groups. Let's now look at what we found regarding metacognitive strategies. Students who read the text on screen used more flexible and selective strategies. They were more likely to skim, scan, or focus on key parts of the text, which reflects how we typically consume digital information. In contrast, students who read the printed version were more likely to use organizing strategies such as rereading, underlining, and highlighting. These are the strategies that support deeper comprehension and long-term retention, especially useful when the context is complex, as in science and sustainability topics. So even though both groups were reading the same article, they approached it differently, shaped by the medium they used. The takeaway here is important. The reading medium did influence not just the reading experience, but the kind of thinking students applied while reading. But how does these strategies translate into actual understanding of the text? When we analyzed the comprehension results, we saw an interesting pattern. At the basic level, recalling facts or explaining what the text said, both groups performed similarly. So the medium didn't really, affect basic understanding. But when we moved to the higher cognitive levels, applying the information to new situations or evaluating its relevance and accuracy, print readers outperformed digital readers. These are precisely the skills needed for science and sustainability literacy, being able to critically assess claims, connect information with prior knowledge, and make informed decisions. One reason may be that print reading supports more focused, reflective engagement, which help readers to integrate and apply what they read. So while digital reading is faster and more flexible, print texts appear to offer a cognitive advantage when tasks are demanding and require deeper thinking. And why does this all matter? Because scientific and sustainability-related texts are not easy. They often require abstract thinking, interpreting data, and understanding cause and effect relationship. These are higher-order cognitive skills, and they are central to science literacy. But if comprehension depends on how the text is presented, whether in digital or print format, then we can't treat reading as a neutral skill anymore. We need to rethink how we teach students to read, learn, and think across all formats. And this means teaching metacognitive strategies explicitly, helping students understand when and why to slow down, and creating learning environments where both digital agility and deep reflection are valued. Ultimately, it's not just about format, it's about empowering learners to choose and adapt the right strategies for the right task. So what does this mean for the future of education? First, the solution is not to choose between print and screen. The reality is students read in both environments, and they will continue to do so even more in the future. Our task is to help them use the right strategies in each medium. And that means not just teaching reading as a skill, but teaching students to be aware of how they read and how they can regulate that process. We should integrate metacognitive instruction into curricula not as an add-on, but as a key part of reading and learning. And we need to choose media purposely based on the learning goal, not habit or convenience. This is not just a technical decision, it's a pedagogical one. And it's one that shapes how well future generations understand complex topics, including those essential to sustainability and science. And as we face increasingly complex global challenges, from climate change to information overload, reading is no longer just about decoding texts. It's about understanding, reflecting, and making informed decisions. And to achieve this, students don't just need access to information, they need the tools to process it. That's where metacognitive strategies come in. As teachers, we shape not just what our students read, but how they think. And if we want to prepare them for a sustainable future, we must teach them to read across formats with awareness and purpose. By integrating metacognitive instructions in digital, print, and hybrid environments, we empower them to become not only better readers, but critical thinkers and informed citizens. I was a little bit faster. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Maja. You're even less than 20 minutes. Fantastic. Okay, questions?
Yes.
2. Okay.
It was 25 minutes for one presentation.
Oh, no. Okay.
Your calculation was wrong.
Oh, okay.
Again.
Neka, thank you. Again. Okay.
Literacy. My question, a little bit possible, not. It's directly connected, I think. You know that on June 28 this year, Accessibility Act in the European Union will be enforced. How to access reading, let's say, materials, all, including academic, scientific courses, for all European citizens, should be accessible. This is really a big challenge, for example, for us, like a publishing house also, including academic scientific journals. At least everything should be not only like now PDF format, etc., but EPUB format and more. It should be accessible. And now it's really, really big challenge. Do you have some idea? Because this is about reading also. Printed, digital materials, how to make them accessible for all.
When talking about accessibility, I think digital is the most, the first thing that we think about. We can access information, books, publications, and everything from, I don't know, from school, from home, from everywhere. So regarding accessibility, I think digital texts are really important, but if we want to read deeply, to understand, for my example, I will always print the text and highlight what's important, make arrows and so on. That's not what we were asking.
Oh, not exactly, because people with special needs, blind people or semi-blind, etc., etc. For example, now it's changed. Let's imagine, for example, academic text in biology or in chemistry.
No.
You have some diagrams, some pictures, for example, and you need to describe them for, let's say, blind people. They need to understand content of this picture, for example. And okay, let's say in general literature or etc. But for example, in academic literature, how to this is really a big change. I just raise this question because it's.
Yeah, but you know, reading pictures or reading and understanding and interpreting visual information requires a special strategy, and actually students are taught to use these special strategies. We can teach, I mean, we know the didactic path, how to teach them, and we do that.
Okay, one thing is teaching.
It's dialogue now.
Yes, but preparing material. Preparing this material, how to prepare. For example, you
And then
publish.
to make it accessible.
In simple,
Yes.
very
Okay.
simple with chat.
Yeah, I just
Okay, thank you. Paolo,
Yes.
your question.
My question is this: is concerned the concept of flexibility with regard to reading a text in a computer or something like that? Well, I am not. Well, I think that it's a relatively vague concept because I am not so sure that it's more flexible. I give you an example. Suppose you have to read a mathematical text with some diagrams, with some figures. It's by far more flexible to have a printed version so that you can come back without any problem, you isolate the figure, you work on the figure, whereas of course it's possible, it's also possible in a test read in a computer, but it's more difficult. Therefore, well, I'm not so sure that this concept, I don't claim that it's necessary to define a concept because of course we can use concepts also, sometimes also defining them. It's not mathematics, of course, but anyway it's at least ambiguous in my opinion as a concept.
This is a generalization, but it depends on the type of text, on type of everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And maybe it also depends on the age of the person
Of
who's
course.
reading it.
Yes.
Because are they digital citizens or whatever the case, you know? That's what you have to think about. I go for papers straight away. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Maja. Jelena, thank you so much. And they are presenting on developing learning materials in physics and programming towards high-level digital skills. University of Latvia. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, my name is Elina Neilande, and at the moment I am a PhD student at the University of Latvia. Sadly not in educational field, but in physical chemistry. So, but I am leaning towards the educational side, so that's why this semester I took a part in high-level digital skills development project and helped to improve some materials in programming, and also as I was teaching physics laboratory works, there also were some interesting materials used. So mostly we are at the moment concentrating on two courses: scientific programming for physicists. It's meant for first year physics bachelor students. They have previous semester programming, so this is more advanced, and we need them to consume a bit differently the information. And the second block of courses is introductory physics for natural science students, such as chemistry students, biology students, etc. Mathematicians are my students, and so how make them easier to learn physics, because that's not their topic and they are very against it sometimes, but not always. And so we are using some digital tools such as H5P tools. But why do we do that? First is that they can learn at self-paced manner. So they have those tools, they have those videos, for instance, and they can think how they will manage the time, they can go back, etc. So self-paced learning with immediate feedback. Within those videos we have quizzes or some other tasks that Jelena will show you in a few minutes, and so they get immediate feedback. It's right or it's wrong, and they can revisit those knowledge and get deeper interactions. And what else? Usually we get static materials. One book for everyone, one approach for everyone, and that doesn't work at the moment because the students are very, very different. They are not the same as they were 10 years ago, when you couldn't go to the professor and say, I'm feeling very bad today. I don't like this thing with other lecture. And so static materials doesn't work, and we are going towards the interactive resources in order to support everyone at their own pace, at their own needs. Of course, you must understand that we cannot make for everyone, but at the moment they seem pretty happy. And also, while I remember, the interactive resources help also those who have different needs for reading and everything else that it was talked before. I see that some students use black theme on iPads because it's easier for them to understand text. Some print out everything in huge letters because it's easier for them, so they can somehow manage themselves, their education. So what we are doing, we are using short instructional videos in order to present information in small chunks. They are TikTok lovers. They need small chunks of information, and so we are introducing them to micro-learnings, but you need to understand that in the end they need to gain the full image. So those chunks must be very good prepared. It's very important, and it's very time consuming, to be honest. And also micro-learning helps them not to be overloaded, because they always are overloaded. There are so many things happening. So, in those short instructional videos we have embedded tasks. So they watch a minute, then there's a question. They don't lose their attention. They don't lose their attention. They see, oh, I must answer, and then they see it's right, wrong, and depending on the professor, they can go further if it's wrong, or they cannot go further, and they must rewatch that minute. So that's also important to think before giving them. What's interesting, we can, in University of Latvia, also formative assessment, make those videos of formative assessment, so the professor sees where they struggle. And what we get in the end is assessment for learning. So they not just write some assessment just to get a final mark. No, they are getting assessments in order to learn better, to understand where are the gaps that they need to fill before going further. So we give them step-by-step tutorials. At the beginning, of course, we have some more advanced. It's just the base ground that they need to build. And they go to self-regulated learning. They come to lectures prepared, they have questions, and we can discuss. I don't tell them about Ehler's theory. They ask me questions, we can discuss and fill in those gaps very effectively. So why H5P? It's like a bit of commercial because it's very nice. Firstly, it's user-friendly interface, so each professor can make those interactive videos or other materials. Then it's mobile compatible. Most students at the moment don't learn by the computer. They have a variety of different iPads, iPhones, phones, etc. Some even read on their watches. Yes.
During exam.
So, yes, you need to ask them to put up so they don't have watches. Yes, and at schools we have forbidden watches, smart watches. Simple watches are allowed. So we go to on-the-go learning. They don't lose an hour of train way to the university. They can learn before the lecture on the train. They don't need to do it at home at 12 o'clock. No, on the train you can do it. We have Moodle. It's open source platform in all the universities of Latvia. As far as I know, in technical university, in medical university, everywhere. Also, we have Moodle platform that is accessible for schools. So also school teachers can use it. And there are implemented H5P materials, so a plugin is inside there. Of course, you can use it in other resources also. So in Moodle, we have progress tracking features, so I can see which one has watched video, which one hasn't watched video, where are their answers, etc. Mostly they don't know about it, and it's very nice because I can see where are the problems even if they don't speak to me. And of course, self-regulations. They need to learn how to learn. They need to self-regulate because at the end of the studies, the most question is, can I write bachelor's thesis in one night? No, you can't. You need to self-regulate. And so we go to the active learning. It's the main reason why we start all of this. So what does H5P offer? You can see a lot of different choices on their website. There are examples for each of them. You can click. There are variety of different, I won't go into details, I will just highlight the ones that we are currently using or are going to use. So interactive books, interactive videos, etc. So for me, the main four sources that I think are the best for the students are interactive video. I have some feedback from my students. How do they feel with those videos? I really like course presentations because they are not just plain presentations, they are implemented with tasks that give intermediate feedback, and even if you show it during the lecture, you don't forget to ask them the question. And it's an interactive, so you can collect differently that information. Interactive book is very nice, especially for those that are not on-site but online students. And you can also track what they have answered. Flashcards work in every age. At the moment they are the most, and they themselves prepare those flashcards very nicely. And summary is my favorite because I like to summarize different things by bullet points. It's just my learning tactics, and that's why I'm giving it to my students. So one more is branching scenario that I am wanting to implement, but it's very hard because there you need to think about different scenarios. For instance, you have different code options, different debugging options, etc. So it's very time consuming. You must know what to do, what every branch will do. A lot of medical students use these branching scenarios when they are learning about interaction with the patients. And so now Elina will show some examples and demonstrations.
Okay. Yeah. Now I will take over. So, dear colleagues, I'm Jelena, and I have the pleasure to work with Elina in this project. I think Elina already described what is the issue and how we're trying to approach it with digital educational technology, and I'll just give you some example of what H5P I do use, and I hope that it will give you some inspiration how you can also use it in your work. I just want to quickly ask how many of you know what H5P is, have heard of it. Can you please raise hands? A few. And how many of you know what Moodle is as learning management system? Okay, so plenty. All right, then we use H5P in Moodle. So I want to say this technology you can use it too. I will, if you have interest, I can show you that it's very simple to use and where to find it. Yeah, but what is most important, it's also free available. Yeah, you don't have to pay. I have developed, before the project with Elina and also during the project, various types of this H5P. One is the interactive video used as pre-laboratory work activity, so students can learn procedures. Another one is branching scenario. It is more advanced, where you can create learning paths for students and also stimulate their collaboration. I'm going to show this one. Then H5P book used for micro lecture, and the most advanced for me at least is integration of H5P together with other activities in Moodle, which you probably know if you're using it, lesson, for example. Yes, so how you can use that. Alright, and the first one is this pre-lab activity example. It's available also in h5p.org. I posted it, so if you're interested, you can scan it and watch the full video, how it works. But I will just play here, so you get the flavor of the beginning. It has some pop-up questions attached to the video on YouTube, and you can also attach some instructions, for example, and student can watch it, follow it before the practical work and understand what to expect from this lab. And so how it's good, they come more prepared. Some tricky questions I can incorporate in this pre-lab activity, and I don't have to come to each of my students and say, you measured it wrong and you should have recalculated the scale. There is opportunity that I incorporate this immediate feedback already in the video with the most tricky points. Alright, so this one is great. Another one is the more advanced video experiment I designed during the COVID times. It was for online learning when we had to replace the practical work on site with something online. And so I developed these scenarios how students can collaborate, decide which measurements to take, share the measurements, and create this authentic experience of working in a lab whilst they're being online, watching the video in Zoom. Here is also QR code to scan if you're interested to watch the full. I also published paper about it, but just to give you a flavor, works like this. You start your branching scenario, select your role. Then again, you can see what is happening in the lab. I filmed it all by myself. Took enormous amount of time, but it was worth it. The investment of work is worth it. And then, yeah, you watch the video and you go through these pop-up interactions that appear on the screen and select what to do, or answer the self-check question, or follow the instructions that appear, tell you, for example, put this measurement in your lab protocol. Okay, and yeah, after this I would like to show you also some of the H5P that are currently developed within the project of improving digital skills, both for teachers and students actually, on the web page. There you go. This is how our Moodle looks like. Yeah, so I hope this pattern is familiar for those of you who are using it too. And I can show you how looks the interactive book as a micro lecture. To find it, I created very many. It's in Latvian, but I think you can understand the point. Yeah? So you start it as a topic, book, and content. It was pre-recorded during the COVID times. Also, I think slides. The lecturer recorded it. He had some videos and he posted it online for students to watch. But of course, who is going to watch 1 hour and a half video? Yeah. So I took the video, I chunked them into these shorter bits, and I incorporated some interactive question, and I also designed an interactive book which has different, these are the subtopics, yes, and there is this content, and you can scroll through the pages of the book, watch the videos. Yeah. And then at some point there will be a question and students can answer it and check if yeah, it's right or wrong, or they can also predict what is going to follow. At the end of the book you scroll through this, yeah, you can incorporate lots of stuff in it. At the end of the book, when you go through all the pages, you can watch video. You can also include some video from YouTube, for example, the well-known one from other physicists, or not even related to physics, anything that can attract students and engage them. At the end, you can submit, not you, but the student, and you can follow the progress, actually, which interactions were successful or not. So this is the third example, and the last one that I'm going to show you today, but in total there are more than 100 different types, is this Moodle lesson I created for my physics students to learn about the motion graphs. What is interesting about it, I incorporated not only H5P but also other tools, for example, these digital simulations you can find online. Very cool. This is from O-Physics, to learn how the acceleration, velocity and coordinate changes. This is the most tricky question usually at the beginning of first semester. Here students can do on their own pace as long as they need, and then what comes? H5P self-check question, where they can check with this drag and drop interactive cards if they answered right or wrong. Yes, and do it as long as you want. Then I can scroll through this lesson to the next topic. I can give instructions what to learn next and so on. Yes, this is all I wanted to show you. I hope that it gave you some interest. Yeah, if you like to learn more, then I can show you after the lecture, and Elina will continue with the presentation, also how to create it, so I hope you will get the idea. I will just switch this off and give you back the...
So, as I see how the time flies away, we won't have as many as much time as we would like to, so I will very shortly conclude everything. So, of course, workflow and tools, at first planning how to include those things into curricula. Not overload, not underload, but the right mode. Then you need to script. Scripting is very important. Those who have ever filmed a video knows what I'm speaking about. And also within that scripting you need to think, oh, here will be that task, here will be that task, that task. And of course video production, that is the main, so you need to prepare. You can use YouTube video if you have one, and I would suggest upload all your videos into YouTube, because some students don't see their technologies are a bit older, or something went wrong, and then they are a bit unimpressed and even angry, so I can send them YouTube link and they can at least watch the video, gain the knowledge without interaction. Platforms can be different: Moodle, Canva, WordPress with plugin, etc. So there's a variety of possibilities. In Moodle, user interface looks like this. It's very simple, very straightforward, so everyone can manage to make one, at least for fun. And so feedback and early impressions. So the first two will be from my scientific programming students, that those videos were fun. They gave an insight to the next lecture. They had to watch those videos and answer questions before the lecture, and so they came prepared, they were interested, they knew what to expect from us and what will be the practical topic of this lecture. Also, we had one theme that we couldn't manage. Time is a very valuable source and it's not always available, and one student told me that it was hard to understand fully the topic, that the student couldn't merge and deepen the knowledge enough, and we had about half an hour consultation about this topic after the lecture, just to explain everything. So for this student, those videos were just gold weighted, because the student watched those videos several times, sometimes 5, 6, to understand. And also, as I was telling, not everything is so sunny. One student was telling me that it was annoyingly hard to watch it, because it was impossible for the student to pause video to at the it was some problem with her computer, but still I was able to give the YouTube version, and the student was happy again. So that's what we need to take into account. Yes. So what are the challenges and future directions? Time invested. We need more time. We don't have enough hours in one day. We need more. Lack of deeper analytics. So we need to form some deep analytics, whether it is good or bad, because at the moment we have only oral feedback or some standard after course feedback that needs to be a bit improved in order to be scientific.
It's an insect.
And we need more training. Jelena was leading a workshop about this tool. As I heard, the feedback was very positive, but still not all of the personnel were able to attend, because again, time investment. Not everyone had time at that day to attend this thing. Of course, we want to expand the use of H5P within faculty or university, and we hope that it will be possible and get formal feedback.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, thank you for your attention, and we very much thank Project for supporting us and giving us this opportunity.
Okay, yes, okay. Carry on.
Question.
Question.
Yes. My understanding, or at least I understood, that Latvia goes to the direction of fun and happiness.
Happiness is very important.
To be honest, I was emotional support professor whole year for physics students, first year bachelor.
Chunk by chunk.
Yes, and they took chunk by chunk from me, and
Are you still happy?
At the moment, yes, but we will have special position open, yes, for a person that
Not artificial assistance, but happiness assistance.
Yes,
That's what we need.
yes, and we have found a person. Jelena told us, yes, you have found the person that will support the students.
No agreement.
Okay, you got a question. Quick.
Okay.
No. Question.
Yeah, I appreciate your presentation, your work. I just would like to understand, basically during COVID time, we don't have any options for taking sessions and everything. But now, in the normal situation, don't you think that these activities or this practical experience should be in a actual form rather than such type of stimulation or video making?
Oh,
Don't you think?
I say the point. So
That
for-
limitation you
yes,
have mentioned,
yes,
but
yes.
just
For-
what's your opinion?
Yes, for the lab works, I can say that we use the real world. They do everything in the real laboratory by their hands, but they are prepared. They use those materials and they come prepared. We don't need to lose one lecture in order to tell them over and over the same things. So they just are more prepared, and it's like homework before, in an interactive way, and also they come prepared with questions.
Can I?
Yes. Last one.
Just can you elaborate branches scenario you mentioned?
Yes.
Is it some unit or some concept you have taken to elaborate it through activities or different way? What exactly it is?
Yes, the branching scenario, so you give them some topic, for instance, comes a patient, medical students have the best versions, comes the patient, has the problem and how you will be responding to the problem, and they give 2, 3, 4 possibilities, opportunities.
Okay.
So, and they click. For instance, on the first one, there is one scenario and tasks and what they need to do, what tests they need to prepare. The second, they click, there is different, a bit different, maybe not very, but a bit different. And in the end, they should come to the same conclusion, or at least to the logical end of this branch.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Last question.
Yes,
Sure.
it's not,
Okay.
yes, I'm very shortly. It's not a question actually.
Okay.
I want to congratulate both colleges for the very helpful presentation. I just want to mention that this is very helpful, and for instance our Greek Ministry of Education, which follow all Baltic countries in an effort to digitalize everything, we have exactly the same effort. We have all the books now digitalized, and we have created OERs, again using HTML5 and Moodle, and to help to represent all the educational content in this kind of format, and have included QR codes in every page of the books, etc. Again, congratulations.
Yeah. Okay. So can we say thank you so much to both of them and give them a round of applause? Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Slindokuhle Mbotho from University of KwaZulu-Natal in Durban, South Africa. Firstly, I would like to extend gratitude to Professor Lamanskas and the whole symposium team for the invitation, not only to attend, but to also stand here in front of you and share my insights. Okay, Professor James and I will be sharing our insights on a study about foundation phase pre-service teachers' expectations of engaging in education for sustainable development, collaborative online learning program. Okay, yes. Okay, the world is facing intensified challenges, environmental challenges, ranging from global climate change, floods, and poverty. So there is a need for more sustainable integrated solutions. I mean, these demand not just reactive solutions, but long-term strategies, and this is where education comes in, with emphasis on long-term resilience and well-being of individual communities and also the environment. Okay, sustainable development. Okay, in the 1970s, the United Nations Conference on Human Environment set and made adequate decisions about measures to face global warming. And then later in the 1980s, the World Commission on Environmental Development defined sustainable development on the 3 Ps framework, which is about people, climate, planet, and then profit. And then the United Nations 2030 framework shifted from the 3 Ps framework into the 5 Ps framework, which is about people, planet, prosperity, and peace. People are referring to making sure that everyone has the same rights and dignity. Planet, which is about keeping the earth resources safe and fighting climate change. Prosperity was looking to make sure that everyone lives a happy and healthy life. And then peace, which is about creating a welcoming and peaceful environment or societies. And then lastly, partnership, looking at improving the global unity and teamwork to reach the sustainable development goals. Education for sustainable development, which is ESD in short. This was adopted by the United Nations in 2015, where they developed 17 sustainable development goals known as SDGs in short. Okay, we have goal 4, which focuses on quality education, and within that we have goal 4.7, which promotes education for sustainable development in all education levels. Okay, the role of sustainable development goals in teacher education. Teachers are always seen as agents of change, so in this case they are seen as agents of sustainability. Okay, so in teacher education, sustainable development goals aim to prepare educators to guide the learners towards a more sustainable future. The education for sustainable development fosters critical thinking, responsibility, and action. So teachers cannot just teach only, but they help in achieving sustainable development goal number 4, which is about education, 5, which is gender equality, 12, which is about responsible consumption, and then 13, which is about climate change. Okay, so research aim and questions. So this study aimed to explore pre-service foundation phase teachers' expectations in engaging with education for sustainable development, collaborative, online international learning programs. Okay, we had 2 research questions. Number 1, which is what are the foundation phase pre-service teachers' expectations in engaging in an education for sustainable development collaborative online international program. And the second one looks at why the foundation phase pre-service teachers have these expectations. Okay, moving on to the review of literature. Okay, we have ESD in teacher education. Okay, so incorporating ESD into teacher education requires more than content changes, but it involves a mindset shift where teachers must be prepared to lead the change. The higher education institutions have already started integrating sustainable development in teacher education. So, however, the curriculum integration is still inconsistent. The progress has been made, but full integration still remains unclear. Okay, education for sustainable development and environmental education in South African context. Okay, environmental education in South Africa is embedded within the curriculum assessment policy statement, which was adopted in 2011, which is the curriculum that we are currently using in South Africa. The environmental education is integrated into core subjects like life skills programs, which includes natural sciences, social sciences, life orientation, and life sciences. Universities are also encouraged to embed education for sustainable development, not only in their academics, but also in their operational activities. Okay, we have NGOs, non-government organizations such as the Wildlife Environmental Society of South Africa, which is shortly known as WESA, and then we also have Fundisa for Change, which play a pivotal role in teacher professional development. Okay, the role of collaborative online international learning in education for sustainable development, teacher education. Okay, so the collaborative online learning engages pre-service teachers in collaborative, online, and sustainability-focused tasks, building key skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, collaboration, and value clarification. Although there are still communication issues, internet access issues, and also unequal participation, the collaborative online international learning program enhances engagement, prepares teachers for classrooms as well. Also, UNESCO's Education for Sustainable Development Net 2030 promotes global collaboration through online platforms for SDGs. So here, in teacher education, by engaging sustainability-related projects, students build vital skills, and also the pre-service teachers are now prepared to teach the learners how to lead a sustainable life. Okay, I'm going to leave to Prof. James now to continue.
Thanks, Slindokuhle. I hope you can all say Slindokuhle. Thank you, Slindo. Which button? That one. Okay. So thank you for that background, and I think when we start thinking about teaching and learning strategies and alternatives to how we need to be interacting, COIL, which is something that is still fairly a new field, within our university we do not have many COIL projects, which is collaborative online interactive learning. And what is important is that when we are working with that, we have to think about what is the theoretical framework within this particular one that we are working with. And I will make the connection just now as to why we've chosen this expectancy value theory with regard to the pre-service teachers who are engaging with this COIL program. I think before we actually engage the students in a program, we need to have an understanding of what are their expectations. Remember here that in looking at this, you can quite clearly see that EVT is concerned with expectancies for success and subjective task value. So success, I mean, if we want to try and define that for ourselves, quite clearly if you think of the word success, you can start thinking about, okay, success means that. If you're thinking about value, then you're going to say, oh, right, I'll do that if it means this to me. So it was important for us to look at this, and the value of the task, if we can just define that a bit more, is that there are 4 aspects to it. There's the intrinsic, as you can read what that means, the attainment, there's the utility, and the cost as well. So to carry on further with this, within this particular study, it's part of what I was doing with just the students that I was working with within the UKZN School of Education context. It's part of a larger research project, and there are 3 partners in it. So it's a COIL one, and if we say COIL, so then it's that the collaborative online learning. So there's a university in Belgium, and there are 2 in South Africa. There's one which is our university, and there's another one which is about 250 kilometers away from us. And we got together, I think it was the beginning of last year, and we looked at how we can develop a COIL program so that we can collectively have an interaction and an engagement with our students. And the choice of the focus was ESD. Because if you think about it, ESD is really across all sectors that one is working with. And just to give you an idea of what the program entailed, there was an orientation, and I'll talk to the sampling, but I can also speak about the sampling now. Each university had to look at 30 students. They had to be in the foundation phase. They had to be pre-service teachers. So there was 30 from our university, 30 from the university in Belgium, and 30 from the other university in South Africa. So in all, there were 90 students. And what we then did was we had to get onto the platform for that university in Belgium. Everybody was registered onto that particular platform, and that is how we then conducted our particular sessions. We had online sessions, the orientation, the students were placed into groups, and in terms of the groups, there were 2 students from our university, 2 from another, and 2 from the Belgium university. So there were 6 students in each of the groups, and it had to be in that particular manner. The 7 sessions, you'll see, were 90 minutes. The 45 minutes was initially the plenary, and the plenary would be linked to a particular topic. For example, some of the topics were Ubuntu, what do we understand by SDGs, what are the different models of SDGs. So if you think about the literature that Slindokuhle shared just now, we actually discussed some of that as well. And so there was a plenary session, and then for the next 45 minutes, the group of 6 students, obviously the Belgian students and the 4 from South Africa, then had a task that they had to communicate on, and they had to develop particular responses to that task as well. And I think what is really unique with the COIL is that it's not, okay, we need to get all the funds so that we need to transport people together and get together so we can actually have the program running. It was important that the online sessions were really fantastic. So, you know, research design, I think that's basic, but the sampling, I've already spoken and I've alluded to that already. It was all foundation phase in all 3 contexts. They had to be pre-service teachers, as I said, and in our context, so this that I'm sharing is really what happened within our School of Education. So I put out a call for students to be involved. 50 students responded, and then they had to submit a motivation as to why they would be involved and why they would want to be involved. What is it that they could get from this particular process? And 30 students were selected from that 50. Well, over the period of time, 30 was reduced to 22 because they just fell off, and then they were not interested. But in terms of the context and the population, you can see that it was only Black African students, and they're from 3 different cultural groups, and English is the 2nd or 3rd language, and they foundation phase. The instruments, the motivation questionnaire, I've alluded to that. Why do you think you should be selected for this program? And it was very interesting to read some of that. You know, ChatGPT is so fantastic, because out of those 50, I could pick out the ones that were straight from ChatGPT, because I looked at the student, I looked at the words that was in the thing, and I said, nah, you don't know those words, that's for sure. So that was just cast aside. And that's how come we got 30 out of the 50. There was a pre-programmed questionnaire that they were given as well, which was designed, and you can see what are some of the questions that are in that pre-programmed questionnaire. So questions about what they will achieve, what is their interest in taking the program, how will they complete activities, and obviously it was a program that was run during September, October. It was on a Tuesday afternoon and a Friday afternoon, and it was from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Well, no, 3 o'clock to 4:30, sorry. And then there was a group interview that was conducted after the orientation. So those are the three instruments that were looked at, and they were analyzed. As you can see, a deductive approach was used because obviously we wanted to look at the two components basically in terms of the success and the value. Ethical clearance, I mean, all that is something that we can look at. But success, when we start looking at the students' responses, I thrive in collaborative environments and am enthusiastic about contributing my perspectives while learning from others. And you know, when you start reading that, while learning from others, we have to look at the prepositions that are being used. And our learning now today is not so much from, but it's with. And we have to replace certain words so that we have an understanding that I can also offer in terms of that particular process. But I'm going to leave you just to read the next one as well. So when we're thinking about success, what is it in the students' minds about why they will want to be in part of that program? Okay? And then the value categories, there are 4 within the value categories. Notice intrinsic. What's your interest and enjoyment? It's so pleasing to read when a student says, I constantly search for new ways of teaching and learning. Since I love early childhood education, how many students, pre-service teachers, are actually taking teaching because they are interested and it's really what they value? Or is it about, this is my way out of my home where there's poverty. When I go to that university, I'm going to get funding, and I'll be able to buy my iPhone and my shoes. Don't smile, but we know with some of the students what they think about as well. And what we then have to say is, we have students who are so intensely engaged in this. I like things that has the benefit of making an environment a better place for people. So when we're planning a COIL program, we have to consider those students who are coming into this program. What are their expectations? Will the program be addressing some of those? Attainment, the importance of doing well. So if you're going to be part of a program, I mean, look at that. I'm a smart worker and I'm very inquisitive. I can get best results. I like the next one as well. Share the learning experiences with my peers and to make content relatable. So the Belgian students have to work with their Belgian context. Our South African students had to work with the South African context, and then they had to bring them together in their group sessions and to discuss what are these particular aspects that they are working with. Utility, usefulness for the future in teaching, and oh my, in terms of the responses, this item had the most responses, because you could see the students could already see the purpose and the usefulness of being engaged in this program for their future teaching. And for some of them, I mean, sustainable development was like because these are second year students, they're not third or fourth year students. And within the foundation phase program, yes, they're looking at life skills, but issues of sustainable development are not discussed in that program. So it will enable me not only to polish my skills working within different teams, but also influence my growth as an educator who can navigate across cultural boundaries. So just within our group, it was already 3 different cultural groups. Now you've got the Belgian students coming in, and you've got the students from another South African university as well. And then the usefulness for self-development, I think that's something that anybody who goes into the value, what will it do for me as a teacher? So gain new experience and memories. Why? Wow, I'm going to be interacting with people from Belgium. I've never spoken or interacted with anybody beyond these that I interact with in my home setting. I'm going to finish just now. Don't look at your watch. Okay, so the cost, effort, and time required. I'm a hardworking student and I want my hard work to be noticed, which is very different compared to some of the students who just come in. To make a significant impact in my community and beyond. Okay? Look at the last one. Please look at that last one and read it for yourselves. Okay? So the cost, which is the effort and time required, students are already aware before they start this program that they will have to confront some of these particular issues. And therefore we, as the designers of these programs, need to be thinking about that. So quite clearly, you know, in the framework that is given, it does not speak about the personal learning in context. And this is something that came out from the students' responses. And their actions to influence the success. Because that's what some of the students said. I will present so that this program can be successful. Why would a student think about it in that way? And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's just absolutely fantastic that they are thinking about how they can be part of making it a success as well. Although they are also aware of the challenges that they may be addressing. The value of the task is evidenced in the intrinsic. Obviously, we saw those 4 categories. Of particular interest was the learning about and using digital tools, including collaborating with international peers. So during the orientation, we explained to the students that they will have to work within their group of 6 to identify a social science issue. I hope you're listening. No, you're not. They had to identify a social science issue in their own context, to bring it together in their groups, to discuss how they will address it, to go back and address it, and then to make a video of it. And that was their assignment that was going to be assessed as well. And that's why we speak about the whole aspect of the digital tools, because they had never done that in any of the other programs at all. And so one of the things that we are saying, if you're looking at that last one, the utility and cost concerned with the usefulness for future teaching, indicated a range of responses, and I spoke to that just now. So when students are taking a particular course, it's not just that they're taking it. What is it that they think about what needs to be done by them themselves, within their context, in relation to others, in order for them to actually do that program. So COIL programs have to consider the buy-in from students. So one of the things, and we're working a 3-year program, we will run this again in September, and the Belgian partners are coming to South Africa in October. And what we're going to do is we're first going to run it for the 2nd time. And what we are now thinking about is drawing students into the planning and the redesigning of the program as well. And the last question I want to leave you with is, consider the enablers and strengthen these. So don't look at the constraints too much. there will always be constraints. Let's look at those enablers and let's strengthen those. And the intercultural competences are important to be foregrounded. Within our context, the students from our university, some of them fell away so much that only 10 people actually remained in the program. And the Belgian students had expressed, yes, we did our videos on our own because the South African people didn't participate and they didn't do what needs to be done. So we now learned that in the next round, when we do it again, we have to look at what are the contracts, and our students did sign a contract. What are the contracts that we need to think about even further? Okay, I think I have to end now because someone stood up. Okay, and that's it. Thank you so much, everybody.
Questions? At least I have some questions. A lot of questions, but I limited to 2 questions only. Just methodological questions. You mentioned before some research aim obviously and research questions. And what was the basis for research questions? Or how did you form that? Based on what?
I won't even answer that because it's a non-question. It's really a non-question. Think about it. Because
it's question.
Yeah, okay. But if you're thinking about it, because we were working with these students and because I was looking at how they had gone through this particular process, it was saying to the whole experience. If we are engaging our students in these COIL programs, which is totally new, there's no assessment because this was not part of a module. There's no mark that they're going to get, but the Belgian students will get a mark. We wanted to understand why these students were actually coming into the program. Because it wasn't for marks, it was just for them to engage in and to complete. So that is why we needed to understand what were the expectations. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Thank you for a very interesting presentation. And this is online program.
Online, all online.
But I have a provocative question. How do you organize this program if it was not online? Because sustainably is more linked with hand-on activities.
Okay, so even though it was hands-on, the actual in-person activities were done by the Belgian people in their community, by the South African people in their community. And then they came together and they made the video. So that was that Belgian, that was South African. So they made that whole video. Okay, and then that was done. But if you're looking at it in person,
I think that engaging
will
be more.
The engaging, but who's going to fund all of that? This is presently funded by the Flemish government, VVOB. We don't get paid for it, but the Belgian people are getting paid for it. We're using our time to develop this, but at the same time, it's for our students. So who's going to pay for the exchange?
Yeah, okay.
I know, that would be but that's why the 2 Belgian people are coming.
Oh, okay, yes.
For us to now take them to our environments, for them to see what we are doing with our students, so that when they go back to their students, they can share that even more.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.